All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. Double honors to the apostle elders, a great millstone who rule well. And salutations to all you brothers out there pushing this word in love, truth, sincerity, and humility. Once again, it's the brother Shatia from the Chicago camp. Coming back to you with what I hope is another quick and edifying sit down. And this was another interesting video that popped up on my TikTok feed. And it's talking about how the seniors, sometimes referred to as the geriatric population, are going to be the new big group of homeless people here in America. Okay, and I believe this guy is going to give the example of why that's going to happen. So we're going to let this video play and we'll get some scripture.
Anytime an affordable housing development is proposed in the city you live in, people go ballistic. And the backlash is always the same. Well, there was an entire generation that spent decades cutting the social safety net, putting a cap on the amount of affordable housing that could be created. Work a little harder, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. We don't want to create dependency. Well, that generation are now senior citizens, and senior citizens are the fastest growing demographic of people becoming homeless in America. And it's really simple as to why it's happening. Their fixed income doesn't match the cost of housing. Well, when that happens in America, you become homeless. Well, that generation was convinced they would never become homeless. Why? Because they worked hard. Well, it turns out working a little harder doesn't always work. In fact, right now, working a little harder is not an option because they don't work anymore. And this isn't irony, this isn't karma. I don't think anyone deserves homelessness, but the reality is simple. The decision makers are not going to face consequences, but the people who supported the decision makers and those decisions are. I wonder if they wish they could do it different. I don't know, because America doesn't like to learn lessons. But right now, senior citizens don't have a shelter to go to because they fought the shelter because we don't want those people here. And the only way out of homelessness is through affordable housing. Well, when you fight the development and creation of affordable housing, there's nowhere to go. And I'm afraid it will never be created in time, especially at scale, to solve the problem for them right now. The system doesn't know what to do with this because this is a brand new level of homelessness we have never seen before. Senior citizens are in trouble, and we need to learn this lesson. Anytime.
And so you're pretty much talking about all your baby boomers. So let's just be on the safe side. All individuals born after the end of World War II. So just being safe, let's just say 1950. So 2025, 1950. So around the 70-ish mark. So probably anybody from 50, definitely 1960 to this point right now is about to be homeless on the street. I mean, can you imagine? You worked hard your whole life, paid off your house, then paid off cars, then sent children to college, and now you have a retirement that doesn't keep up with inflation. Okay, it's not like, you have certain union jobs where even when you retire, you may still get some type of COLA, a cost of a living adjustment. Okay. Think about it. If your house cost $30,000 back in the day and you paid it off and you retired 20 years after that, and then that's your set fixed income, and then the next thing you know, things keep getting more expensive and more expensive. You be like, well, damn, I can't even live in my own dream home. Okay, I have a neighbor that's going through something very similar with his parents. Okay, they've been retired for a couple of years now, and they were expressing to him how, your mom and I, we got a fixed income, but with the hyperinflation, it's getting very tight to just do the very simple things that we like to do, like come visit you and see the grandchildren and eat every blue moon, go out, maybe take a trip back to our home country. And so my neighbor told me that him and his other two siblings, they all agreed that, seeing as they're working and they're younger, that they would pay their parents' property taxes, which was really cool. But, it's just interesting to hear a firsthand story on how all this hyperinflation is starting to affect the senior citizens, the geriatric population, and how now they're going to be pretty much the baby boomers are the most successful generation of group of all time, is about to be some of the most ass out people of all time. And see, this is why the scripture tells us that in Ecclesiasticus 29 and 21, it says the chief thing for life is water and bread and clothing and a house to cover shame. Because when you don't have a home to go to rest your head, all right, you're exposed to the elements, you're exposed to the dangers of the environment. Okay, there is no type of safety whatsoever. You are completely exposed to everything. And as I said before, all this came about because they could not foresee the long game. They could not see that in 70 years, what the rhetoric that they were saying and the rules that they didn't want to have would affect them. Now you have folks that are 75 years old crying, talking about, I got to sell my house and I got to live in my car because I can't afford rent, because I haven't paid rent in over 20, 30 some years. All right. They're at the point where they built houses. And that's part of the curses too. Let me just. There's a Deuteronomy 30:7, and it says, and Yahweh thy power will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Deuteronomy 28 and 28. What is that one where it says, is it earlier in there? I put it on pause and find it real quick. I can't find it. Or maybe I'm wording it wrong. Maybe I can't find it because I'm wording it wrong. But, now you have a situation where, all these Edomites who built these houses back in the day, they're not able to live in it. Okay, and Proverbs 10 and 15. See, now you have a situation where you have the rich man's wealth is a strong city, the destruction of the poor is their poverty, right? And because you have all these rules that have increased hyperinflation and taxes and all these other things, you got, as I said before, you have the so-called greatest and most prosperous generation in the entire United States about to be the most ass out generation in the entire United States. All right, can you imagine being 70 years old, homeless, probably got all types of physical ailments, high blood pressure, diabetes? I mean, you think being out in the elements is going to help that? As the man said, shelters are packed. It's very little affordable housing. So, I mean, they're just at a point where at 75, 80 some years old, they're now doing survival of the fittest. It's a horrible way for one's life to come to an end, but you know, this is what happens when Job 9 and 24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So that's all I wanted to say on this. I hope you all were edified. To the next time, we'll just say shalom.